What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing. And today we have a very special Marvel figure that I've been meaning to unbox for a while now, but we are closing in on 75 figures unboxed in this collection here. So there's going to be another collection tour coming out for 75 figures. I know for sure I'm running out of space, so I'm gonna have to, move some stuff around, optimize space to see how much more room I have for expansion in the future. So that's definitely gonna be a video coming out and then probably next week. But for this weekend, we have two very special figures, one of them being an Iron Man figure that's gonna come out tomorrow. But today's unboxing is Black Panther from Captain America Civil War, which is the first appearance of Black Panther in the MCU, and Chadwick Boseman's first appearance as Black Panther. And to be honest with you, I think I like the Civil War suit far better than the kinetic energy, black and purple suit from Black Panther. Nice idea, but this just looked like a real dude in a suit and like the vibranium mask, and like it just looked unreal. And it's a shame that they, changed the design going into the future movies, but it is what it is. It has to evolve. They have to be able to, sell more toys for the next movie, so they kind of have to change their outfit each movie, but this suit and then the Killmonger suit, with the gold necklace rather than the silver one, I don't know, I think I prefer this suit far more than the Black Panther suits. But I have another Civil War figure that's going to be unboxed tomorrow, and that's Civil War Iron Man. So we'll probably toss these two next to each other. I wish I had Civil War Captain America. That would have been a perfect pairing. But I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to get Black Panther out. And, on the side of the box, you got Bucky there. You got, Cap and Iron Man on the back. A giant man's kneecap. You got Falcon up here as well. You got Black Widow on the side. And then Black Panther's hand going onto the side of the box. Black Panther down the bottom. Hot Toys movie masterpiece. Not much else going on. Pop this off. It says on the front here, "Divided we fall." And then it's kind of got like Captain America shield on the back there a little bit. I don't know if you can really tell. It might even be more like Bucky's Winter Soldier shoulder with the star. But, it kind of vaguely resembles that. And I actually already took the figure out of the box because this wasn't a secondhand purchased from my local comic book shop figure, so I wanted to make sure everything was alright, there was no, paint scuffs or anything missing. And then it surprised me how little came with this figure. But let's pop the top of this plastic lid off the container here and take a closer look at Mr. Black Panther himself. So you can see the little container here, and popping off the top of this, we have, it looks like just some claw hands, some, maybe fist hands on the figure, some, non-retractable claws, so just some grabbing hands, and then you have grabbing hands with the claws out, and then on the figure already you have fist hands. It looks like he has some claws down by his toesies, but yeah, most of the plastic removed. It's got a couple of foam padding underneath his arm. Pull that out, and then foam off the top. His arms don't sit down maybe as much as I would want him to, but that's alright. Very nice looking figure. It is all black, so there's not like a ton of detail that's probably going to get picked up on camera, but just taking off the plastic off that mask. Ooh, yeah, no, this mask is exactly how Black Panther should look, will look, like, man, it's going to make me want to get a Chadwick Boseman figure because I am only seeing the base, a crotch grabber, and 6 hands for this figure. Like, where are the accessories, Hot Toys? What the fuck? Like, did you come out with this whole line of Civil War figures and it was mostly just the figures and no accessories? What's the deal with that? But, so there won't be too much I should be able to do with this figure, posing-wise. But I'll try my best, and might as well take everything up out of this box and lay it out in front of me here, and we'll take an up close and personal look at the figure and get a nice close look for you guys, and take a look at his base and all the accessories he comes with, and see everything that Mr. T'Challa Black Panther from Captain America Civil War has to offer. All right, everybody, we have the Captain America Civil War Black Panther with all of his accessories standing on his display base there. Not too many accessories, not too much going on, just a normal old style kind of diamond-esque base. You know, I don't love the way that these bases are, but, you know, they give you enough little surface area to be able to get some poses off, pose the figure, you know what I mean? But, you know, just looking at some of the accessories, he comes with 2 clawed hands, and you can see the vibranium claws on these boys and how sharp they are. And, you know, they could be, you know, just kind of out, or they could be, you know, clawing at something, or they could be choking something, you know, like versatile hands, but not, you know, too many hands anyways to be able to do a whole bunch of poses. So yeah, these are his, you know, panther claws, if you would. And then he has just 2 normal, same exact gestured hands, but without the claws. So these ones are probably more, you know, right before he retracts the claws, or, you know, choking hands or grabbing hands, something of the sort. You know, maybe even like a hand on the ground ready to pounce, you know, pull himself forward like a cat, who knows. And then he comes with the 2 fists that are currently on the figure. And just to look at the figure and the display base he's standing on, let's pull that off for a moment. The Civil War base, you can see a little bit of the, what is that, Tony's chest reactor. And that's probably mostly because Black Panther here was on Team Tony and not Team Cap. So given a little bit of that red, a little bit of that Tony Stark emblem in the middle to justify what team he's on. And then on the front here, it says Black Panther. I'm pretty sure that's the Black Widow logo, but oh well. Black Panther and then Civil War. Maybe that's supposed to show Team Iron Man or something, though, but I want to say that's the Black Widow logo, is it not? But yeah, so not too much going on. Crotch grabber, better than a waist grabber, but, you know, they probably should have gave us, you know, some type of display base if they weren't going to give us so many accessories. But, you know, cheaper figure and good looking figure, but not a whole lot of accessories. But just to look at this figure himself more, you know, he's all black, so he doesn't have that much detail, but he's properly slim and thick in some areas. You know, slim waist, thick in the chest, thick in the shoulders, thick in the neck, you know, so I like the way he looks. I wish his arms, oh wow, yeah, look at that, wrist peg. I wish his arms sat a little bit more flush, but these are definitely is a problem with some of these older figures. They can't put their arms down by their sides. Even if I try and do that, like, you know, push up and in, you know, maybe a little bit better, but no, not really. Or maybe you have to do one of these numbers and, like, you know, swivel and then bend a little bit to get it to look like it's more down by his side versus what this is. You know, like, this looks awful. This is almost acceptable, but then from that angle you're like, okay, so it's got to be more like there, and then you go back to pretty much what it already is, you know, like maybe with the swivel this way, you know, maybe it's a little bit better, but you know, that arm gap is pretty shitty. Thigh gap, not too much, you know, you can get the legs near each other, shoulder width apart at least, but you're probably going to want him in a more aggressive stance anyways. In these shoes, you know, they got like 3 little vibranium toe claws on it, very funny, but also, you know, fitting for the Black Panther. But yeah, I loved, you know, the gauntlets, not too much detail, but the mask. Oh, the mask looks so perfect. The little details, the vibranium eye ports, you know, the vibranium trim, the little cat ears, the silhouette. Yeah, I really like the way this figure looks. Really, really do. And the way that, like, the teeth necklace looks. Yeah, this is a great looking figure. I just wish it came with more. Like, if this came with a T'Challa head sculpt, or, you know, more hands or weapons or something. I mean, I guess he does really only use his claws as weapons, but, like, you know, I feel like it could have came with something else, anything else, but not that whole many accessories, not that whole lot to do with this figure, so I'm going to try my best in this posing section coming up. What kind of poses we can get him into and what kind of stances he's capable of. And yeah, so let's see what Mr. T'Challa Black Panther from Captain America Civil War is capable of in a couple of different dynamic poses. Oh, right, everybody, we have the Civil War Black Panther spinning around on the turntable here for us, just standing straight up and down, how he comes fresh out of the box. And this figure doesn't have too many accessories. So then I have him with the battle ready, kind of splayed out hands with one hand up like it's ready to go, and like he's just about to pull out his claws. And then I have him running with one foot back, one foot forward, like kind of like that one scene from Civil War where he's chasing down Bucky through the tunnels and Captain America's chasing after them. And then I have his final pose here with the only other accessories he has with the claw hands, and I wish he came with something else, but I guess he didn't really have a whole lot else from Civil War that he used. But maybe at the very least a Chadwick Boseman head sculpt, so then you could have had him holding the helmet, just so little amount of accessories, you couldn't do much. But this is definitely how I'm gonna want him in my display. I do love that mask. I love the way that it looks, and I love the fact that he's got the claws out, and it looks really good. The vibranium claws, like the vibranium necklace and the vibranium mask with the little claws on his toes. The base is a little whack, and the all black suit, it's really hard to make out some of the details, but you can see on camera pretty well that there is quite a bit of detail. Just it's all black, so it kind of blends in the darkness, but when you shine a big powerful light on it, you can kind of start to make out some of those black details on the suit itself. Now, will this suit get damaged if I leave it posed like this for a long amount of time? Maybe, who knows? This is an older figure, but it is my only Black Panther at the current moment, so I'm probably not going to leave it posed for crazy long like this. I might, leave it for like a week and see how damaged it gets, and if it gets too damaged, then I'll probably leave it in like more of a museum pose. But for the time being, this is the pose I'm going to do. So I only have one other Civil War Marvel 1/6 scale figure from Captain America Civil War, and that would be the Mark 46 Iron Man, which the unboxing video for that comes out tomorrow. But just for the sake of doing a little bit of a side-by-side comparison, why don't we toss the Mark 46 next to Black Panther here and see how the two figures I have from Civil War compare next to each other. Wow, so that Mark 46 Iron Man is pretty substantial. I know the knees are bent on that Black Panther a little bit, but it is also standing up on that base, and it looks like the Iron Man is still taller than him. But these figures actually look quite nice next to each other. The all red, bright shiny chrome, and then the all black. I actually quite like the way these two look next to each other. But now, this is, just the completionist in me, but it's really making me want to go and get every single person, maybe not the exact figure from that movie, but every single person that is in the Captain America team, and then everyone that's in the Iron Man team. And I really want to do the, that lineup, like almost that smash panel where they clash at the airport in Captain America Civil War, and I would love to have Team Iron Man and Team Cap. And I'm sure I have most of those figures already, but I know like I only have a Sam Wilson Captain America. I don't necessarily have a Falcon. I would really like a Falcon. I kind of want to get a, an earlier Black Widow. I only really have Black Widow from her movie. I don't have Spider-Man in his original Stark Tech suit. I really love that suit from like Homecoming, and that's like one of the only Spider-Man suits I don't have, so I'd love to get that one. I do have Vision. I don't necessarily have like a Civil War Wanda. The only Wanda I have is WandaVision Wanda at the current moment. I kind of want to get the Civil War or Age of Ultron Wanda, or even Infinity War Wanda. Maybe the Artisan Edition one that looks really good. I do have a War Machine. Now I'm trying to think who else is in those lineups. I do have a Bucky, but not necessarily Civil War Bucky or War Machine. But, I could maybe throw these together. I do really want to get Civil War Captain America as well. I have probably every other Captain America at the moment. No, I don't. I don't have Infinity War. I don't have
the first Avenger. You know, I have a couple, but I don't have all of them. But sure enough, I know the completionist in me will want to get all of the caps. I already want to get all of the Mark Iron Man suits, which is going to be very hard, but I might stick to just the die-cast ones and not do the older plastic ones. But still, so far I have 4, 6, 85, and now 46. So this is my 4th Iron Man, technically my 5th if you include that zombie Mysterio's Illusion Iron Man, which I don't, because I don't even keep that figure in this room. But, you know, it is one of my Hot Toys figures, and I think I said earlier that there was going to be a 75 figure comparison video coming out next week. I was mistaken. That will be coming out in a few weeks. I'm just about to hit 70 figures next week. So stay tuned for 2 more unboxings coming out next weekend. And make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow's video if you want to see that Iron Man Mark 46 unboxing. But I think that's it for me today. Literally the only other thing I would do with this Black Panther is toss him over on the shelf. And at the current moment, he doesn't have a spot. So I'm going to have to do some rearranging to figure out where this guy's going to go. And thank you guys so much for sticking around this far into the video. If you enjoyed this Black Panther 1/6 scale Marvel figure unboxing, please drop a like down below. You can follow my other social medias just in the description down below. And if you really do want to support the channel, the best way to do that is subscribing, dropping a comment down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, hitting that bell so you don't miss future videos, you get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name is Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for making it this far on the video, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace!